Hi there, so in this video we're gonna go through all hunt path light cons currently available for free-to-plays and discuss those, how strong they are for hunt path characters in general. And since this video is made from free-to-play perspective, we assume that light cons which we can simply buy from stores we can get to Superimposition 5, while summonable light cons which we can get only from gacha we can get only one copy of. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So let's start from 5-star hunt light cons, and here we have an absolute free-to-play champion called Cruising in the Stellar Sea. Since even though it's a 5-star light con, you can get it completely for free without summoning at all just by buying it from Herta's Simulated Universe shop, and also you can get all the materials to get this exact light con to Superimposition 5 just by playing the game. You'll have to spend some time, but occasionally you will get to Superimposition 5, on which you're gonna increase your crit rate by 16%, and you'll get additional 16% crit rate when you're attacking enemies with 50% HP or lower. And also we have additional ability which gives us 40% attack for 2 turns if we're defeating an enemy. So in general this light con is really good, first of all because it's completely free to get, secondly because this is a 5-star light con, so it gives a really solid amount of stats, and also for now in the game every hunt character relies on their crits, so if you have higher crit rate this means you have more crits, which means you deal more damage. And also this ability to increase your attack by 40% just by defeating any enemy is really good, and it also synergizes with Zilla and practically any hunt character really well, because usually, not always, but usually you will have some additional minions which boss summons and you can just kill to trigger this passive, and for Zilla her passive too. So in general this is a really good light con, and this is actually the best one which you can get without summoning at all. But if you're gonna do your regular banner summons, and most likely you will, you might get Sleep Like the Dead light con, which is super competitive even on Superimposition 1, because we are getting 30% additional crit damage, and also if our basic attack or skill does not result in a crit hit, we increase our crit rate by 36%, though this might work only once in 3 turns. But in general, increasing your crit damage will increase your potential damage, and also giving us additional 36 crit rate will make our crits more stable, even though we can't guarantee this every turn. And if at some point you get additional copies of this light con, it might be even better, because on Superimposition 5 it gives you massive 50% additional crit damage and also 60% crit rate when our basic attack or skill does not result in a crit hit. But in general, reviewing this from perspective of Superimposition 1, we still really have a massive boost because we increase our crit damage, which is our main source of additional damage. Now let's get to 4-star light cons, and first one we have is River Flows in Spring, which is also completely free to play. You can get it to Superimposition 5 just by playing Forgotten Hull and Echoes of War, though on Superimposition 5 the effect is you increase your speed by 12% and damage by 24%, but if your hunt character takes damage, this effect will disappear and we'll have to wait 1 turn for it to recharge. So on practice, even on Superimposition 5, this light con is not that reliable. I mean, if you can protect your DPS character or hunt character with shields or taunt, then it might be good, but you'll see a bit later in the video, at damage comparison, this is not the best light con in terms of damage, and also it has specific conditions, but keep in mind that this is a completely free Superimposition 5 light con. Now we have Only Silence Remains, which is a 4-star light con, but you'll have to summon for it. That's why we're reviewing this from perspective of Superimposition 1. And on Superimposition 1 we are gonna get 16% additional attack, and if there are 2 or less enemies on the field, we're gonna increase our crit rate by 12%, which is not that hard condition to do, but you time to time will have to fight 4 and 5 enemies. That's why it won't work all the time. And also, since this is only a 4-star light con and we're reviewing this from Superimposition 1 perspective, it just basically lacks some additional percentages, unfortunately. Now we have a Swordplay, which is a 4-star light con we also have to summon for. That's why we also review this light con from perspective of Superimposition 1, where we increase our damage by 8% up to 5 times when we land a hit on the same enemy. This means up to 40%, which is actually a really good number, though this effect will disappear if we change the target. And for now, of course, the best hunt DPS character, which is Zilla, loves to kill the enemies, which means she will always change the targets, and this is a bit specific. I mean, in general, On paper, this light con is really good, and for some specific situations when you can just use done honk and only target one enemy, it really acts as one of the best light cons we have in the game. But on practice, especially with Zilla, this light con might be a bit specific and really depend on its condition. And the last summonable 4-star Hunt light con we currently have in the game is Subscribe for Me, which on Superimposition 1 will increase our basic attacks and skills damage by 24%, and if we have our ultimate fully charged, will increase our damage for basic attacks and skills by extra 24%, which, to my subjective opinion, again, I may be really wrong on this light con, but is completely opposite to how you want to play your Hunt characters, at least those we currently have in the game, because usually one of the main sources of damage is your ultimate, so you use your basic attacks and skills usually, of course, to deal damage, but also to charge up your ultimate, then use your ultimate, and then recharge your ultimate with your basic attacks and skills. So this light con, which doesn't increase damage from your ultimate at all and to some extent requires to just hold the ultimate, may be really specific, and I think one of the worst if we compare to the best ones. Though if at some point of the game we get an activity where we just practically can't use the ultimate, this light con might be really good. Also, if we at some point of the game get a Hunt character which does not rely on their ultimate at all, this light con may be also good, but for current characters we have in the Hunt path, I think this might be one of the worst light cons, of course, if we are talking about 4-star ones. And if we are talking about 3-star light cons, I honestly think in any scenario of the game for any character, it's much better to use your free-to-play 4-star light con or free-to-play 5-star light con. But if you really want to use 3-star light cons, let's assume you can do any of those to Superimposition 5, and then the best one might be just Dart and Arrow because it has the best effect. You increase your attack when you defeat the enemy, and for other two, this one will increase your crit rate only for 3 turns and then the effect will disappear, and this one will increase only your speed, which without any attack buff or crit rate or crit damage buff is actually useless. I mean, it's of course good, but we have this one which is, to my opinion, just better. So again, it's much better to use any other 4-star free-to-play or non-free-to-play or just 5-star free-to-play light con than to use 3-star light con, to my opinion. And if we compare pure stats, which every light con gives us stats anyway, then of course obviously the best one on their full potential will be Sleep Like the Dead with the biggest amount of attack we can receive, and of course for Hunt characters we are interested in attack. Then on the second place will be the free-to-play 5-star Cruising the Stellar Sea, and then actually any 4-star light con will give us exactly the same amount of attack, so in terms of attack every 4-star light con will be exactly the same. Now let's talk about damage comparison just a bit. I completely understand all of those people who don't trust those testings since they are fully artificial, though this is our only way to compare the damage between different light cons. So on the first place in this chart, obviously we have in the 9 because it's just stupidly a time-limited light con for Zilla. Then we, with big difference, still have on the second place Sleep Like the Dead on Superimposition 1, so if you're lucky to get this light con from just summoning on the regular banner, feel free to use it, it's really good even on Superimposition 1. Then we have Swordplay, which I, again, my subjective opinion, really doubt because it's too specific, it has too specific condition exactly for this testing. I think on practice it will act a bit worse, especially taking into account that Cruising in the Stellar Sea on Superimposition 5, because this light con is free-to-play 5-star light con, does not activate its second part where you increase your attack by 40% after killing an enemy, so practically this light con might be maybe on the same level as this. It's really hard to tell, but definitely better than this one because it doesn't activate its condition at all. Then we have River Flows in the Spring, and this one is good, but again, it's maybe because of the condition, but in general, you see that it's not that bad. And then we have Only Silence Remains, which again has not that big difference with River Flows in Spring, but in general, I think the best one, of course, is Cruising in the Stellar Sea if you were not lucky enough to get Sleep Like the Dead from just regular banner just by summoning with your free-to-play regular Star Rail passes. Now let's get to some conclusions, and I think up to this moment of the video it's obvious that the best way is to be lucky enough to get Sleep Like the Dead. Of course you don't have to on purpose summon on regular banner just to get this Lightcon, but if you just used your regular Starl passes which you get during the story and got this Lightcon, you can just easily invest into it because this is a really good Lightcon even on Superimposition 1, and then hypothetically you might get additional copies maybe while summoning from your just regular Starl passes which you'll anyway get. But if you are not lucky enough, don't summon for this Sleep Like the Dead Lightcon specifically, just use Cruising in the Stellar Sea, because this is a really good Lightcon which you can easily, just being free to play, get to Superimposition 5, and also this exact Lightcon really synergizes good with Zila. Then we have River Flows in the Spring. Since this Lightcon we also can be sure to get to Superimposition 5 just being a free-to-play. After that I think only Silence Remains is really good, though of course you can guarantee yourself that you will get to Superimposition 5 with this one. Then Swordplay I think is also not that bad, but again, since its condition is a bit specific, I think only Silence Remains in general for hunt characters, just for every hunt character, is a bit better. That's actually it for now. Again, everything in this video is my subjective opinion, and if you disagree on anything, just feel free to share that in the comment section. I'll really appreciate that. And that's actually it. Thanks for your kind attention, and see you soon.